G'day punters, welcome to another massive edition of All In. Of course, it is Melbourne Cup week, it's Oaks week, and of course, States Day on Saturday. We have a massive All In ready for you today. This is the Melbourne Cup edition. Make sure you are subscribing to the greattipoff.com YouTube. You'll be able to get this and all other shows as they come up for the week. Welcoming from Sydney, none other than Lewis Willoughby. How are you, Louis?
Yeah, good, Gano. Good, Dino. Gee, you sound like you're recording from a bathroom of some sorts. I don't know what's going on there, but anyway, no, it is another grand final week, boys. I can't wait. We've played in so many grand finals. We're like the mighty Dragons team back in whatever era that was of the NRL, where they just kept winning and winning and winning. Unfortunately, not like the Roosters and maybe Penrith are getting there, but not about that. It's about the horses. And Tuesday, of course, is the big one, the Melbourne Cup. And the big dance from Sydney, don't forget about it, and the little dance and the barn dance. So I hope you're getting your shoes on and doing some form for those.
I do have a tip for you in the big dance. But we'll
beauty.
Yeah,
very good. No, good to be here.
Good stuff. And, of course, yes, the reason why it sounds like I am recording this from the toilet is because I walked into the hotel room and Dean Watling has his crap everywhere. He reckons he owns the joint, and I've had to go to the smallest crevice of the room to record this. Dino, how are you?
I'm going good. Danny, you look like you're not in a bathroom. You look like you're in a jail cell. Like you're just zooming out of some prison with your greens on. Have you made it through customs? You got into Melbourne okay?
Just. And to be fair, it was a debacle. Anyway, no one wants to hear about our crap. Let's go. Melbourne Cup 2023. I know we've spent hours and hours going through this since the barrier draws have come out, so I'm really keen to hear what you guys have to say. We'll go straight in numerical order, straight off the top. We're going to go number one, Gold Trip, barrier 2, J-Mac. $6. Lewis, let's kick off with you. What are your thoughts on Gold Trip? Obviously won the race last year. It goes up in weight. Talk to me. Do you like it?
Yeah.
Are you backing it?
No, I'm not backing it. It's in my exotics and definite top 10, obviously. But my concern for Gold Trip this year is the weight versus a pretty smart field. So, you know, no horse since Mackay Viva, and then before that since whoever it was back in whenever it was. I probably should have these stats to hand, but I don't. Sorry to viewers. The point is that horses don't really do it. They can't really do it. And even though this horse is flying, I think it bumps into a really good Melbourne Cup field, perhaps stronger than previous years at the pointy end of the market, who are much better weighted and handicapped than it. So for me, it'll run well. It's got a good draw. It'll appreciate a hot speed. There's going to be a lot of speed on in this Melbourne Cup. But I just think the weight will bring it undone that last furlong compared to others. Dino?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's funny. It only goes up a kilo off last year's win, which you put it into context in your head and you think, oh, well, maybe that's not too bad. But then you forget what the conditions were last year. It was a soft to sort of heavy track. The way the race was run, they sort of turned the jets on. Timmy Clark aboard, Knight's Order for the 600, just set up perfectly for the horse, probably even the 700-800 metre mark, Louis and Gano. So I think the biggest negative this year, though, is that gate, Louis. He's going to be back towards the inside. Yes, he could save ground, but you're going to either have to get a dream passage through or you're going to have to go in and out of horses. And with a horse with weight, that's the last thing you want. You want a saloon passage, one run. You can't be sort of stop momentum, pick it back up with that sort of weight in the Melbourne Cup. So, Gano, I'm heavily against him this year. I think he'll probably drift and start longer. The only saving grace is if we get a thunderstorm 2 races before and absolutely pause, but not for me this year.
There's a bit to play out here. So, first of all, we saw what you probably best describe as a hot enough rail at Flemington on Saturday. So, if we see that again, be interesting to see how positive they are from that gate and how much tempo is put into the race. So, there's a fair bit to play out here. In regards to speed map, that he can win. There's absolutely no doubt about it that he can win. I think he's going better than where he was last year. So I think that kilo is, he'll be fine with that. It's just a question of whether he's going to have enough luck and run and what the tempo is going to be. Really, really intriguing horse. We're interested to see what the market does. Dino thinks that the market might spit it out. I think that it's probably going to start third favourites, whatever that looks like. And I think you're right, Dino. I think the price differential, I've been saying it for weeks now, between Without a Fight and Gold Trip was just ludicrous. And I still think we'll see Without a Fight start favourite. People keep telling me that I lost the plot, but hey, what would they know? Number 2 here, Alenquer for Ollie. Jeez. Well, I'll say it. I'll walk home. I think we'll all walk home for Flemington if Alenquer gets the job done. Dino, any thoughts on this calibre? Is it any chance of running top 10?
I think any chance it had is probably gone now. It's got a stone bruise. I think they're going to reassess it tomorrow. I'd love to see it go around Louis just for Damien Oliver's last ride, but I didn't think it had much of a chance prior to that sort of Shields report, and don't think it has much of a chance posted either.
No, not for me.
Yeah, its ratings were like, even its best, its preparation was nearly 5 lengths like off everything. It was just absolute pen job, and they're betting $51. So, someone explain that to me. Number 3, Without a Fight, Mark Zara, barrier 16. Now, this is really interesting barrier for me. Obviously, probably would rather 10, 11, or 12, but do you think I would suggest that 16 is probably better than 1, 2, 3, or 4. Dino, we didn't get much in depth review from Alenquer, so why don't you kick us off here Without a Fight? Tell us your thoughts on this scalper.
Yeah, we'll start with the speed, Matt. I think initially you probably saw gate 16, you thought, oh no, that's probably not the best gate. But then you dissect this speed map, and the speed coming from out wide. Louis touched on it earlier. There's going to be strong speed up front, and it all generally comes from out wide. You got Serpentine and Vauban, obviously set the speed up from the inside, but then you've got Magic Lagoon, Right You Are, Breakup, Interpretation, Calipore potentially from out wide. So I think early the speed's going to be on, and I think Without a Fight can just tag off the back of those horses that are going to slide across and land in that 3 wide line. So I don't think it's as bad as it seems, and I much prefer a horse out there building the revs, which we saw him do in a Caulfield Cup, rather than being cluttered up inside and outside of horses. He does have to carry a little bit of weight. It's not as bad as your Gold Trip. I think he's had the perfect setup, a strongly run Caulfield Cup, brutal tempo, and he come out on top. That's the best acid test for a Melbourne Cup. He's got form overseas. He's won over 2,700 plus. I think the dry deck's the biggest tick for him, and he's absolutely flying. Mark Zara, big time jockey, obviously won the Melbourne Cup aboard Gold Trip last year, jumps on Without a Fight. So all big ticks for me, and he's in my top 4, Louis.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be against Without a Fight a little bit. Not going to go out and go crazy and make it the biggest lay of all time and blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to be against it.
$29, what?
Well, no, I'm not like you, mate. I don't have kahunas as big as yours, son. And I also don't want to get sprayed on Twitter anymore, so I'm just steering clear.
I still got a message about it last week.
Yeah, that'd be right.
So come 7th. Sorry.
That's no, you're right. You got it right. I was always with you, mate. Strong Caulfield Cup win, big margin spread indicates good form reference, as Dino said. I'm going to run through the negatives, because Dino, and I agree with a lot of your positives, but here's the flip side of the coin. The 1.5 kilo penalty up to 56.5. Horses doing the double, getting a penalty, often down in the weights in the handicap. So going from 50 to 51, 51 to 52.5, up to 56.5 with that penalty is a concern. Last year had the same draw. Draws 1 to the inside this time around. Beaten 21 lengths. You could say, okay, sure, the soft track was clearly not to its liking, and I would agree. But does that turn around a 21 length margin? I'd say no. It had a great run up on the speed with cover. It didn't have cover into the first turn, but that's a straight run. Got cover pretty soon after that. And ended up in the 1-1 at some stage and was beaten 21 lengths. I know it's probably going better, but I think hunting right, and especially in these big handicap races, it's all about taking the right price. The price that it's at now, I just don't think it is correct for what I can see happening on one side of the flip of the coin. So, yeah, I'm not as keen. I know you guys are keen and a lot of others are keen. I'm not on that train. I really probably won't be backing it. It's a definite top 10 chance. But, yeah, no, in terms of winning, I actually don't think it can.
Oh. I
think it's a good point you make, Louis. It's all about price in this game as well. I'd suggest that currently $6 for me, that's probably bottom dollar odds for myself. I wouldn't be taking 6 about it. I'd probably want 7 or 8, which I think plenty of people might have taken.
You won't get
more, yeah, with that, which is a good point. It'd be interesting to see which way the market goes, but I think Louis makes a good point. I did make a lot of ticks there, but price-wise, I think I'd be wanting probably $7 to $8 in the market to be backing it.
There you go. All right. I thought the horse will start favourite for all the reasons why. It's pretty popular for what it did at the Caulfield Cup. Yes, goes up in weight. You just got to trust that it's going to handle a dry deck. We're going to get a dry deck. You've got to be able to forgive in this game. But he certainly wouldn't be my only bet. So put it that way. So I'm happy to have him on my side. But the thing is here, and like the caveat on this, I've had him on my side like at around like $9 or $10, right? So I'm still keen on the Galloper. I think you're right. $6 is the right price. That's what I had in mind. So I was still happy. If I hadn't had a bet, was to continue with that $6. Number 4, Breakup. I'll let you have it. Let me know who's riding that horse, Louis. You're getting around the $20 mark there. Any thoughts on Breakup?
Yeah, Koei Matsuyama.
Matsuyama. I should have read
possible relation.
Great golfers.
Possible relation to the golfer Matsuyama. So I think it's some kind of sniff for a top 5. Don't think he can win. But first up, died on its run in the Caulfield Cup. That was a pretty last run in June in the Tarazuka Canen. So that was a pretty long gap between runs. I think that's okay that it faded. Proven out to this trip, gets a dry deck, which for Japanese horses is yes. And form behind Justin Palace and Equinox is best in the world kind of form. And I think Japanese horses prove they're the best in the world. You saw Obam Buramai, or Obi, as I started calling him because I couldn't be bothered to say the name anymore, come from the clouds and win in Sydney on Saturday. So I think Barrier 18 is a worry, but I think it's going to go well enough to be in that top 5.
Yeah, I think you're wrong, or you're doing yourself a disservice if you fully assess it off its Caulfield Cup run. Louis made the mention, long time off, a similar setup probably to a Romantic Warrior, long time off, got eaten alive in a strongly run Turnbull. I think that's a really similar vein here with Breakup. I think the big push too, Louis and Gano's second up record's terrific. 2 wins from 4 starts, and is one that has proven 3,200 metre form over in Japan. And we know the Japanese, they love the firm deck. They often handle it. I think that's a couple of big ticks for the horse. Gate 18's the big knock, though, and probably due to that, it's probably one I'll probably stay out of, Gunner.
Yeah, I thought the horse was really good. I was hoping to get a better price because simply that second up record just holds it nice and firm there. And as you suggested, the 3,200 metre run there, even though it would read in the form guides 1 and 0, 0, 0. Well, it's a lot better than that, as Louis stated. Righto, let's go to the current favourite, Vauban, Ryan Moore. On the drift, Lou, talk me through what you've seen today. This has been a very, very intriguing move.
I think the more intriguing move is for the stablemate. I'm not concerned Vauban is drifting because it was way, way, way too short for a Melbourne Cup. Like $3.30 this morning. That's ridiculous. Like, let's call a spade a spade. That is fair.
How much mug money has piled into that this morning on last night?
I reckon it's no money.
I think it's I think mug money, unless it's huge, is not enough to move a market, and the traders are smart enough to know that.
I know, but the point being, it's a Melbourne Cup. They might cop 100,000 at 320, and it's a good place to start.
Yeah, I think the barrier set it off. Just purely inside draw in every single race, even if it's a positive or a negative. Inside draws, if you draw that in a big grand final, so as soon as that barriers went out, that's when the price moved, and I think it's just got to a point now where no one's betting on it because who can take 3-30 in a Melbourne Cup? I just think it's all fluff all around it. Like you said, Louis, probably the move on the stablemate's what we'll touch on soon, but that's probably a more significant move.
Yeah, I think Vauban's still the winner, and I think the price is better now. We touched on taking the right price, and that's exactly what you want to do. Willie Mullins has beaten the handicapper here, a horse he's planned for 2 years upwards to bring to this race. He is a 3-time Group 1 winner over the sticks, comes to the flats, wins it by 7.5 lengths over the stablemate at Ascot, albeit margin probably should have been less, but not enough to go near turning the result. Then wins a Ballyroan running away from them. Willie Mullins says it is better than Max Dynamite, who is 2-time placed in the race. It is a better horse, he says. Gets Ryan Moore, who just won a Breeders' Cup in America with one of the great rides you'll ever see. Comes from barrier 3. It's up on speed. I honestly, apart from the price, which is now starting to correct, I am honest, I cannot find a single negative with the horse. Not a single one.
Yeah, you make a very good point. I think it's funny. You sort of see the hype around this horse throughout the Melbourne Cup Carnival and leading into doing the form. And straight away in my mind, without even sort of thinking about it, just the bias comes in thinking, okay, let's try to get this favourite beat. Everyone likes it. Let's get it beat. And the more I do the form, Louis, the more I come back to it. Obviously, a lot of people want to pot that it's been over the jumps and that sort of stuff. But it's a funny narrative. I spoke to Gannon about this morning. When Gay, Waterhouse and Bjorn Bacon, those sort of trainers want to get their stayers to lift and find some form, they put them over the hurdles or they put them over the jumps. They did it this week with a horse in the midweek. So I think you agree that 7.5 length win at Ascot was terrific, albeit the stablemate should have finished closer. The stablemate Absurde gets the 2 kilo swing. I don't think that's enough to turn around the result. My only jink in the armour of this horse is a rock hard Flemington deck. It's probably the only thing this horse hasn't seen. Yes, it won at a good track at Ascot, but I doubt that's a good track compared to our good tracks that we've been seeing here in Australia. So that's my only jink in its armour. But like you mentioned, gets leaders back, probably tags Serpentine, comes off the bridle a long way out, but just keeps finding. I can't find any reason not to back it. And to be honest, I think it's sort of getting out to backable price now, Gunnar.
The only chink in the armour that I see, gents, is how he parades in front of 100,000 people. I'd suggest it'd be a little bit different to what he's experienced so far down here in his career, and then so far obviously down here at Flemington or wherever he's been kept. I know he was at Flemington the other day for a jump out, and he was pretty fiery then with, maybe 400 people around. So he could absolutely turn it up, and then all of a sudden you're $4.80. You could probably get $7. What I would say is that I'd agree with the sentiment of a rock hard track. I have no idea. So they're my two queries: how the horse parades and the rock hard track. Now, does that mean that I'm digging pretty deep to try and find a way to get the horse beat? Probably a little bit, but price sensitive. If you got around $6, like, he's a bet no matter what. You just have to back that. He's nearly $5 now on Sunday night. There's a fair chance you'll get there. But something has to give here, right? So Gold Trip, we're suggesting Gold Trip's going to drift. We're suggesting that this horse might drift a little bit more. Well, Without a Fight has to be the one. They have to come with something. It's going to have, there's going to have to be something's going to have to firm, or they all going to drift. And a horse like Soulcombe or Absurde, who we're about to talk about, are they the two that really shorten the market? Louis, what are your thoughts on Soulcombe?
Yeah, this is the other one I'm going to have a bet on in the race at a double-figure price. You guys know I'm a big fan. If this horse somehow, by some divine miracle on Tuesday, can just jump with the field, it can win. It will go very close to winning.
Louis, on that, blinkers came off. He had a jump out, and he jumped really, really well with the blinkers off the other day. Perfect. There you go, punters. Bit of an inside scoop.
See, thanks.
Probably misses now.
He's got eyes coming out of the back of his head, this bloke. He's all over it. Seriously, Craig Williams on. It goes very well. It's been running really well. This preparation was a huge.
Maria.
Maria. Yeah, Maria. Craig. Well, I'll talk about Craig Williams in a second, by the way, because his ride on Bella Nipotina, even though we're not doing a ride of the week this week, is the ride of the week.
No, when we do Stakes Day, make sure you are subscribing, punters, because the Stakes Day would pop soon. But Louis, as usual, has gone early.
Yeah, sorry. Blinkers off. Was really good in the Headley when resuming. Good in the Underwood. Good in the Turnbull. Game over in the Caulfield Cup, missing the start. If it jumps, I think if the price you can get now, if it jumps, it should be shorter. It should be single figures. I'm keen. Dino?
Yeah, I think it's probably rock bottom odds for me to take that risk of a horse jumping, because if you miss the kick, I think you've got absolutely no chance at all in this race. I'd probably want more than $10 to be taking that risk. I know it may be jumped with the blinkers off, but that's not with 100,000 people and probably not with 24 horses side by side. So I guess it's a positive that they do come off and it can jump. But in saying that, it's back towards the inside. It's back marker. Even if it does jump, I think it's going to need a lot of luck to weave a passage. In saying that, I agree. It's a terrific horse. I'd love for it to get rid of those mannerisms, and I think it'd be a top 4 chance. But just, I think gate speed and tactical speed in these races, Gano, is so crucial, and it doesn't have any of that.
Love it. I got no real opinion on the horse. I think Without a Fight's dusted at every start so far, and I can't see there being any different this time around. Like Soulcombe, yeah, sure, jumps better, but it's going to be, even if the horse jumps really well, it's still going to be beyond midfield. I just don't think beyond midfield against the rails, the place you're going to want to be at the 600 metres. As we know, you can't jump over them. But they've got a magic amount of boards, so
yeah, that's it.
Hey,
he rode 5 today and yesterday in Japan.
He's so good.
That's the biggest tick for him, isn't it?
Like, as far as sportsmen go, going from country to country, just showing up and getting the job done. Like there is very, very few sportsmen and women that can just lob off an aeroplane in any given sport. Like you can say golf, right? But even then, like it's almost impossible. Tiger was probably the only one that could really do it. And they have practice rounds. Like you don't get a practice round. He was off the plane, and you don't get to spin around 6 times to play 6 holes. He just straight on the horse and wins. It's phenomenal, and you rarely see any athlete do that. So full credit to Joe. Hopefully we don't mock him. Absurde for Zach Purton, another. Okay, well, we'd like to see Zach come back and produce a big one because he's copped a hiding on a few platforms in regards to recent rides. I think he's definitely one of the best riders in the world, and I think he'll get his chance to prove that aboard Absurde, a horse that I quite like the chances of, Lou, just because of the barrier draw and the fact he'll get to show a turn of foot at some stage, and we know he's more than likely going to have clear running, where the others there might be query on that. You kick off here, and Lou's got a nice little point about his horse as well.
Yeah, well, the racing treat's probably the marker move on this horse, but I'll let Louis touch on that. For me, I think he's going to be the big firmer in this race. We've already seen him firm in the market, but I think they've just absolutely missed him purely in the fact of all the media attentions about Vauban, who he's been sitting off the back of in his sort of jump outs or track work, and I think he's been going terrific. They know he can get keen, so they've slotted him in behind there. Gate 8. We talk about this all spring, and horses that get the best run in the biggest races often win, and I think he's going to get the best run in transit here. I know we got beaten 7.5 lengths against Vauban, obviously at Ascot. That was on a good track, they said. I'd go off times and probably say it was the worst side of a good track. He got a long way back there, spotted him sort of 5-6 lengths in the run and sort of ended up that way. Gets 2 kilos off, gets a better run in transit, gets Zach Purton aboard. I think that Absurde, Louis, is in the top 4 chances for me, and it's a massive hope in this race.
Yeah, I was keen to say no, and I'm just starting to have to reevaluate the money. Well, I sent it to you, but it's $21 into $12 or something. Like in terms of like genuine percentage, that's a move. That's not just to tighten it in a roll 51 into 31 or something. Like something's going on here, and I don't know what it is. Vauban dusted it in the E-ball, but should have settled closer. Yes, it's been going okay in the track work, but Vauban's dusting it there as well.
Mate, honestly, who cares? Like, is anyone that could, like, they don't pay you to track work. It means nothing, and it's just.
Well, I don't think I have to disagree. I don't think it means nothing at all. I think it's how the horses are going, how the horses are working. Yeah, they're not out there to race each other and beat each other.
10 lengths behind him, he jumped out and sat 10 lengths off him. It's not like they went out together.
Yeah, but he's not making ground on him either, is he? And I just don't think. Yeah, okay, I'll take your point, but I think that Vauban's going better than it in the work that is publicly seen. So I don't get why it's so firm now in the market and that Vauban is drifting. I don't get it.
The market opens and they've stepped in. So what is it? Read between the lines. Do you reckon it's stable money? Like that's a fair amount of money in a race like this for the horse to move that much, and it has to have come from the right place.
Yeah, I know, and I agree with that, but I can't see how. But obviously, I'm not in the stable, so what would I know?
Gannon might be in the stable.
Yeah, Gannon must be in the stable.
I think the horse has got a huge chance, can win. Let's move on to number 8, Right You Are. Horse actually really gutsy last start, Jets. Louis. Can Right You Are win? And if it can't win, nice and quick, what position do you have it running?
No, can't win. Can finish top half, 12.
Really?
Yep, was really good in the Caulfield Cup, but I don't think it'll win. Back on Absorb, one last thing I'll add to won the E-ball in its last start. Heartbreak City and Purple Moon have both come out of the race, Gunnar, to run second in the Melbourne Cup.
Beautiful. And Right You Are, any opinions on where it would finish?
I think top half, for sure. I think it's a gutsy on pacer, but probably doesn't have the brilliance to win a Melbourne Cup.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't have a place for it in my top 10. Vow and Declare a Horse. People have been talking up a few smart tipsters, smart punters out there, suggesting this horse can get the job done again. It's been a while between drinks, but Billy Egan, Danny O'Brien, Barrier 19's back against the wall here. I can't possibly have it, Dino.
Yeah, I think it's a big chance. I think it was really game in the Moonee Valley Cup, 3 wide the entire trip. I think the biggest tick this year is the dry deck. Copped the rain last year, which was heavily against it, but I think the horse is absolutely flying. And gate 19 is a massive query though, Louis. So I think that's the chink in its armour, but I would not be surprised if this horse won this race.
Yeah, out of the remainder of the horses we haven't touched, and I can save you all some time, this is the only other one I want to make mention of. Vow and Declare, they'll be having something on. I think it's flying. It only rises 1 kilo from when it won the race 4 years ago, which is some kind of effort. Like the fact that it's even here again in another Melbourne Cup. The 3 runs it's had this preparation. It was good in the Underwood. In the Might and Power, the tempo was so strong, and it was appreciated by that tempo, but it flew home. It's coming off a run in a fast run race. It's going to get a similar setup here with a fast run race. And then, as you mentioned, Dino was really gallant and tough in the Moonee Valley Gold Cup when wide and just not really suited. I think it's a perfect setup. You know it's going to get 3,200 metres with any kind of luck from barrier 19, which is an obvious negative, but with any kind of luck from out there. If this horse crossed the line first, I really wouldn't go, well, I didn't see that coming. I seriously can see some kind of world where this horse wins the race again. And so out of the rest that we haven't touched on, it'd be the only other one at a price that I'd have something on each way.
Unbelievable. Boys both like it. Interesting.
I think it'll be one of those ones, Louis, if it does win, I'll probably kick myself and go, like, it was the writing on the
Should
wall.
have had something. Should have had something on it. Yeah. No, seriously, like it wouldn't surprise to see it bob up.
Righto, fellas. So if you both give Alenquer a chance, you have to give Cleveland a chance.
No, probably the opposite. The Gates, probably it's a jink. Yes, it was good last start, but I think that's been one good run.
Only 4 doors down, mate.
Yeah, well, you got to make a case for him. I think Alenquer's probably ticked the box over there. Cleveland, yes, goes good, but I think he's too inconsistent for me. Gate 23, he's probably got to roll forward. I think he's another jink in him, but if I had to take any of them, I think Alenquer's a better horse for me, Louis.
Yep, what he said.
Try to get you on board. No, just can't have it. Ash Run wasn't bad, and Geelong Cup's had a long time off. I thought this horse was probably one that's from left field that could really improve here and run a career peak after that really long break. You get around $51. Any of those sort of exotic markets, top 4, top 5 exotics, I'd be very happy to include from that barrier draw. It wasn't a spectacular Geelong Cup run, but I know the stable are quite bullish on the horse. They're the best training stable in the country. I won't go as far as say the world because the Tom seems to do a pretty good job of it, but definitely in Australia. And I just think it's I can't really see a scenario where he wins. I don't think he's quite there, but I can definitely see a scenario where he runs into one of those holes, Luke.
Yeah, 3 years off the scene, so it's just incredible that he's just run second in a Geelong Cup, but I don't think that's the form this year.
Yeah, he's an 8-year-old. The ticks on paper are he's trained by Myron Eustace, and he's got Kieran McAvoy in the saddle, who's obviously won a fair amount of these Melbourne Cups. In saying that, blanket finish in the Geelong Cup, I don't think it's the form line, Gannon.
Beautiful. We're going to throw 3 runners at you, Jen. Starkett Sweet Jr., Akita Sushi, and Shiraz. Can any of them finish in the top half of the field? And if you say yes, why?
No, thank you. Respectfully.
No.
We were running about 5 minutes behind, and we just made up 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
We're back to the inside.
So we're back. Number 15 here, Louis. What's the pronunciation of this, please?
I'm going to go with Lastochka.
I love it. He's too good, Louis.
That is good.
En Franche.
You wouldn't believe the amount of people that were trying to avoid Oban Birima on the weekend. Like, it was just phenomenal. They go, next horse, number 12. Like, Ashford had Ashford off the bit. I had Hall off the bit. Like, that's just like, it's just like, this number 12, like, fellas, come on.
Yeah, I won't give anything away, but there's a tip in the VRC Oaks that even I can't pronounce coming up later on. So there is one going around the coast. It'll go forward. Yeah, it's going to go forward. So says the camp. Mick Price, French mare, who I don't really know the French form. Like, I can't read it like I can go and look at the UK form and try and weigh things up. I think if it'll go forward from the wide draw and have a tough run into the first turn and maybe take a while to get a spot, it will feel the pinch at the end of the race.
Yep, agree. It's going to go forward, lightweight. I think that's going to be the big concern. I think you'll know if his horse can probably match it with him after 200 metres. For me, no, I don't think its French form is strong enough to win a race. I'd be more so looking, like you said, Louis, UK, Irish type of form to win a race like this. So no for me, Gano.
Is there any horses here that aren't going forward? Like, fair income.
Yeah, I know.
That's serious.
Tempo. Any horses here that can go forward that aren't? Like, obviously, Soulcombe's not going forward because it can't. And without a fight, most likely probably won't this time around. But there's a lot of speeds, a lot of lightweight horses rolling forward this time around. And I think there's we talk about the speed map, and sorry to take an intermission on our tips here for our punters, but it's worth bringing out. There could be a lot of lightweight chances that are coming backwards at the 600 to 800 metre mark, falling back in laps. And that's why I'm taking the angle of wide barriers here this time around. you got to have an angle, you got to have an edge. Hoping that's mine, but I think scenario we could see. Would you guys see that unfolding at all?
I'll say, Gano, that without a fight in terms of a map run, especially if that does happen, horses falling back, it's the one that's just going to blend in midfield, come out towards the middle of the track, which looked like the place to be in the straight races on Saturday.
But you just had to get there, didn't you? That was a challenge.
Yeah, you just had to get there. But in the big field, when they fan, it'll be away from the trouble and blending in. It's going to get a pretty good run.
All right, fellas. So that's that. You got Magical Lagoon and a horse, which I believe that will also roll forward at $151. So we can shoulder zones that and pull me up if I got that wrong. Military Mission for Dino's girl Rach. Look, it's been really good. For its last 3 starts. Draws barrier 5. Look, I know that it's Gary and Adrian's sort of MO to send them forward. I really hope they just say to Rachel, just ride this scalper where it jumps. Just let it get into a rhythm, let him do his thing, and then see what he's got left. I don't want them to be too aggressive here. Dino, obviously you might be doing some help here. Would you share my sentiment?
Yeah, well, I think you go back and look at its Newcastle Cup win, and that's exactly what happened. Settled midfield, tracked the good speed, and showed a turn of foot. It's probably the one of a few Waterhouse and Bott runners that is better suited, probably ridden with a sit. Gate 5, it reads well, but then you do the speed map, and it's a little bit tricky. It's probably going to be pushed to the fence 3-4 pairs back. It's going to need an out. I think the best case scenario for it is to sort of settle one off the rail in that midfield sort of line. The other example, you can maybe find the back of Vauban, but I think it's in terrific form. Can it win a Melbourne Cup? I think it's definitely a top half chance, Louis.
Yeah, going really well. So a definite, top half chance for sure.
Yeah, if they ride it conservatively enough in the back half or the middle of the field, I think it's a big chance. And I've just had an absolute mare for the 5th time today. Serpentine on top, Jai McNeil. Do we see a Jai McNeil special? Same colours. What was the horse, Dino?
Twilight Payment.
Geez, you're good. You're sharp.
Yeah,
Do you reckon we're going to see a similar setup here, Dino? Any Jai McNeil vibes coming your way?
Well, it's interesting. We all speak about this speed, but can Jai sort of punch up? He's going to probably lead on this horse. Can he sort of worry them all out of it? They might all roll forward, and then I think a lot of them will juice up early to get to the front. So down the back straight, I think everyone's going to be dropping anchor trying to conserve. So he's probably the horse that won't use energy early, and he can take advantage of that. I think he is the best roughie of the race. He was beaten 5.9 lengths without a fight in the Q22, drops 5.5 kilos off that. He was beaten 2.1 lengths in the Bart Cummings. He drops 3 kilos off the back of future history there, and they've saved him for this race. And interesting to hear the stable at the start of the year when they had White Marlin in work and Goldman, who were the top 2 on the market in early futures market. And Gay was asked, who's your best Melbourne Cup chance? And she said, without flinching, Serpentine. So I think he's the best rough in the race. He has all the miles in the legs. He's got the beautiful on-pace pattern. I think he's definitely a top 4 chance for me, Louis.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. My only little niggle with that is the Q22, where it was beaten by Without a Fight, albeit a different weight scale here. That was 2,200 metres, and he went just too hard in front. There's a genuine chance that could happen again if it's going to lead in a hot tempo race from barrier 1 over 3,200 metres this time. So, the speed on paper up front is my little concern. But, a good rough hope.
Full credit to Liam Howley getting Virtuous Circle here, but from what we saw in the Geelong Cup, highly unlikely that horse to get anywhere near them. But best of luck to them, and I hope they can find a way. I think it might be a horse that would be better suited on a very wet deck as opposed to a dry track. So if you've got anything else to add on that, Gallop, I will just keep moving on, lads. But More Felons is an interesting runner. So he did meet was it Absurde and Vauban?
Yes.
I think it meets, carries 12 kilos less in that race this time around. It's got
11 and a half if you want to be exact.
Well done. No, and that's very important. It's very important.
Half kilo over 3,200. Yeah, very. Yeah.
We could all do with losing half a kilo. or maybe 5.5.
Speak for yourself.
Nice, mate. Fair income. Your mirror must be broken. Jamie Carr's on. She's returned to a little bit of form. This could be the ride that really gets her back in. And speed map wise for me, gents, this is a horse where I think, okay, well, lightweight, I just hope they're nice and patient. I do hope they flop out at the back and sort of find it, beyond midfield and hope that he can power over the top. Like, can he win? I'm not too sure about if he can win, but I know that I'm going to have something small on him, and I'll be adding in all exotics, and I'll have a place. He's second at record, three goes, 2 wins and a second. So no knocking him there. And he's running the Geelong Cup, suggested 3,200 metres is going to be absolutely ideal. Jamie Carr, Chris Waller, $31 with Tab. Like, I think he might be the forgotten horse. And the way that they're betting these days, like on the totes and stuff, you could easily get like $40 this horse, I think. And who's to say that more felons can't run a race, Louis? Have I lost the plot?
Nope, I agree. If it is a stupid double-figure price like that, it's definitely one to include. But Jamie will have to be at her best and some, I think, from that draw. Albeit, I take your point, flop out, find a position with a hot speed, you'll probably slot in somewhere. But even still, you'll be spotting horses like Vauban, Absurde, without a fight, a start, and then you've got to get past them. So,
and that's it. And therein lies a challenge, right? You're going to need an absurd amount of speed on, and you're going to need luck. But what you're going to need for a horse like this to win is the others to be very unlucky.
Yeah, I think weight drop is one thing. You still got to have the ability to win the race. I think that's it. You got to weigh up here. I think you can't give him a start in a Melbourne Cup too far. So I know, I hope it probably flops out the back, but you don't want it dead last on the outside. In saying that, gate 24, there's no real pressure. You can't. If it goes no good for you, I guess you just blame it on the gate. So I think it's just upside from there.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because they're all going to be charging out early. There might be gaps, and there's always gaps somewhere. And the horses that tend to settle last are the ones that are sitting midfield or just further midfield, and they're 3 and 4 wide, and then they panic. So if Jamie's patient and just scoots across to the rail or the back there, she might all of a sudden be 2 or 3 pairs in front of the back markers and 2 or 3 pairs more forward than what the envisions come, or what the map may look like. But, interesting runner. Definitely needs everything to go its way. Needs the right rate check, right? Of course, it needs the right rate check. Future History is an interesting horse. You've got Holly Doyle there. Dino, any chance this galloper?
It's an interesting year where there's not that horse that we're speaking of that beat the handicap. There's no 4-year-old Northern Hemisphere horse that's beaten the handicapper. I think this is probably the horse in the race that has. Terrific in winning the Bart Cummings over the 2,500 metres. Then was purely there for a tick-over run in the Moonee Valley Cup. Drew a good gate, and the tactics were, let's ride it quiet. So that just screams to me, we're there to get miles in his horse's legs. We don't want to win, so we don't get a penalty into the Cup. Let's stay at 50 kilos with Holly Doyle. So I think it's going terrific. I think it's got enough ability, a lovely gate, that 13 that suits the speed map we're speaking of. The trainers that won it last year, I think there's a lot of ticks for this horse. And you're probably getting a big enough price. It's starting to get a little bit too long in the market at the moment, Louis.
Yeah, interesting runner, going well. It got beaten by Young Verda 3 starts ago. Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure
and that's with respect.
I tipped in last year's Melbourne Cup, that, like, amongst a few others. I tipped that horse.
That's with respect to the great and mighty and powerful Young Verda, but it carried 54.5 lead and got run down by it. I don't know. Yeah, no, not for me.
It's interesting. You've got to take a stance, right? And there's like, okay, I'm willing to pen Future History. I'm willing to pen Serpentine, similar form lines. I'm willing to pen Vauban, Declare, and willing to pen Cleveland. If you pen all of those, then all of a sudden you're not playing with 12 runners anymore, and that's sort of what I've done. I've just penned those 4 lines and worked around those. So you just got to have an angle as well. You can box 18 horses for a trifecta and you'll lose $350. Interpretation here, any chance, lads?
No, I think the bottom 2 no for me, Louis.
Yeah, no, but Teo Nugent does love this race. And weirdly, he's a great rider, but
love this race.
Yeah, I was going to say, which jockey?
You reckon I can't stand this? This is awful.
I'm sure a jockey who had a ride in it might love it, but he got put on 201 shot and flopped out the back and was beaten at the 600 metre mark. Probably didn't get off and go, that was the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. Teo Nugent has run 4th and 3rd in his 2 runs in it. So he likes this. He turns it on for this race.
Don't take him.
Yeah, but no, 22, 23, 24 can't win for me.
Yeah, barely won the other day, and God bless it did. Calipore, every possible. Zach Lloyd, barrier 14, another horse that's going to go forward. It's fair income scary. And True Marvel, $151 for Benny Thompson.
It could also go forward too, True Marvel, up to 3,200 metres, not kidding.
Right,
It's at fourth in the Sydney Cup when it ran second.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. Incredible. So there's a lot of speed here. Dino, kick us off with your top 4 selections for the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, top 4. You probably want them in order. The order's going to be...
Generally speaking, that's the place to start. First to fourth.
Oh, this is hard. A little bit plays out. I think market-wise, I got Vauban definitely on top in this race, but betting-wise, I'm going to wait until the yard. I think we won't get any shorter than what he is at the moment. You make a good point. I think yard-wise, he's crucial for that horse. In for second, Absurde. I think he's the horse that I really want to take the price at the moment. I love the setup, love the map. I think he can turn and get really close to Vauban here, and if not win. In for third, I've got Willie Out of Fight. Gets the run of the, not the run of the race, but a terrific run out wide. Yes, he has to carry weight, but I think he's a horse that can carry weight. Fourth up, and I think he's been perfectly placed. And in for fourth, Serpentine. I thought he's the best roughie in the field. So that's the top 4. I'll be taking them in exotics. Backing probably the latter 3 now and waiting for Vauban in the yard. Louis?
Yep, I'll preface that by saying the same as Dino. This is not betting per se. There's a lot to go under the bridge yet, and the yard is crucial. But in terms of top 4 numbers, 5, Vauban on top for reasons mentioned. To beat 9, Vauban Declare, who I think is the best roughie in the race and is going really well. These last 2 I'm tricky on. I'm tricky on these last 2. I'll go 7 Absurd for third pick and 3 Without a Fight for fourth. And I can't believe I'm leaving out Soulcombe of those top 4, who I could easily put in for either of the last 2 I just mentioned.
Junior Without a Fight. Anyway, now, Louis, it's interesting. Since we've started filming this, Absurd was 15s, still 15s available now, 13s and 12s. Like, the money's still coming on Sunday night. It's quite
Actually, take Without a Fight out. I want Soulcombe in for 4th.
Sorry, Luke's already entered that. Repeat your numbers, punters. For those who are at home that are very, very confused by your antics, Louis, can you repeat your numbers first to the 4th?
Yes, sure. Vauban to beat number 5. Vauban to beat number 9. Vauban Declare. Absurd in for 3rd. Soulcombe in for 4th. So 5, 9, 7, 6.
Very good. I'll go Without a Fight on top. Absurd in there for 2nd. Breakup 3rd, and Vauban for 4th. I think they're clearly the top 4 there. 2 other runners that I thought were over the odds and could run a whole, or definitely good for 5 markers are Ashrun and More Felons. Make sure you're subscribing. We've got a Noakes All-In coming up, and we also have a Stakes Day All-In. It's going to be even bigger, better, and stronger than this one. Louis, thank you so much. Dino, you're a star. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, fellas.
Giddy up.
Good luck.
Giddy up.